Did you
So
have
I
any
had
other
that frozen.
damage to any of your other organs? Because I know that the liver itself is quite robust.
Hmm.
It's like one of the organs that you can do a ton of damage to do, and you can really bring it back.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, reasonably easily. Kidneys are a different story. But did you have any other
Hmm.
damage to any of the other organs?
No,
So it's just the
luckily
liver,
no.
right? Okay.
Yeah, just the liver, and that's purely from the high food intake and never really taking a break, and always being a little bit higher than true hormone replacement.
Mm,
So the liver had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which now with right ultrasounds and fibro scans and doing my blood work frequently, that's now completely resolved. No issues with my kidneys, normal glomerular filtration rate, normal cystatin C levels. All my blood work is good. I've done ultrasounds of my kidneys, normal,
mm,
no inflammation, no kidney stones, no nothing. I've done an MRI on my heart, normal size, surprisingly, because
mhm.
I would expect a little bit of an athlete's heart, but I've been so proactive to prevent that that my heart is a normal size with normal ejection fraction and no coronary artery disease, no plaque buildup. So
What have you used to maintain your heart health and size so it doesn't get enlarged? Like are we talking things like coenzyme Q10,
this
ubiquinol?
ubiquinol, so I take 200 milligrams per day. That's pretty high dose, and then I take it also around the workout, which gives a little bit of a performance enhancing benefit because you're supplying energy and antioxidants to the heart, allowing it to work at full capacity.
Mm,
And when you train for bodybuilding, of course, the training intensity is quite high, right? So your heart is under a lot of stress. And while you're giving all your other body parts a break, right, you train legs one day and then back the next day and chest the next day, but your heart 5 times a week is getting hammered. So I put everything in place to ensure heart health, which is 400 milligrams ubiquinol on training days,
mm,
sometimes 500 milligrams. And I
yeah.
started taking a beta blocker to keep the heart rate down. So you always, right, you're not in this sympathetic state where you're always like a little bit hyped up after training.
What's a like is that something that you need to get scripted from your doctor? Or is that something you can get over the counter as far as a beta blocker? Because I mean, like one of the things I've noticed, because I wear this Aura ring to track my sleep and my heart rate and all that
Mhm.
sort of stuff, is my average heart rate is a little bit higher than what I think it should be. Like it's around, I mean, on low days it might be in low 50s, but it's usually 59 to 63, like even when I'm asleep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can get that down. Yeah. Yeah. So a beta blocker, it depends on the country. So here I can buy it over the counter. It's one of the good things about Thailand. I can get 99% of what I want over the counter. But
No scripting, you need to
maybe
just go to the pharmacy or the chemist and they'll just give
no,
it to you.
just go to the pharmacy. You walk in, you said, I need Nebilet, which is Nebivolol, yeah, the pharmaceutical brand. And they'll give it to you, as long as you
Yeah.
pay for it. It's
Here,
not
I'd have to
cheap, but
convince my doctor to script it, and they're always tight about
yeah.
everything.
Right. So, and that's why there's online pharmacies, but then you're running the risk of importation, right?
What you're
There's
getting.
always a
Yeah.
risk of prescribing stuff online, self-prescribing stuff online, but that's basically the bodybuilding scene anyway. I mean, you're self-prescribing because we're taking more than hormone replacement. So you get quite resourceful figuring out where to get stuff besides what you're able to get on prescription. And if you need a prescription, well, there's always methods to negotiate with your doctor to
Mhm.
get it prescribed, right? Because Nebulet, there's no underground labs, or Nebivolol, there's no underground labs that produce that stuff. So you have to get pharmaceutical grade.
I'll tell you a story in a minute that, like,
Yeah.
literally made my TRT doctor jump out of his chair when I had to go through some labs. But I'm just going to try to catch these super chats as they come in. So, did you know, Matt
Yeah.
says, what do you wish you knew about tests when you were young that, that you know now, I guess is the full question.
Um, all esters are the same if you do your injection frequency more frequently. So I just started again a cycle after being off for about 8.5 months. And other side, man, acne is coming back already.
Mhm.
So that's because of hormonal fluctuations. So even though if you take a longer testosterone ester twice a week, if you inject that every day, you get more stable serum concentrations. And one of the issues with taking steroids is these hormonal fluctuations causing too much conversion into estrogen, which then you have high test and then high estrogen and then high test and high estrogen. And this fluctuations contributes to acne or gynecomastia or water retention or maybe hair loss because the testosterone converts into dihydrotestosterone, which is one of the causes for hair loss. Now, I think for you, that's really not an issue. And for me, neither it is because you chose to be right shaven,
Yeah.
and I seem to be immune for hair loss, but everybody gets some sort of side effect. right? Whether that's acne or hair loss or gynecomastia or water retention. Those
Yeah.
are like the low hanging fruit side effects that are almost immediate. And what I wish I knew is that regardless of the testosterone formula that you're taking, if you administer that every day, you mitigate a lot of these side effects.
One of the questions I get a lot from guys, like on T, is essentially, well, aren't you going to lose your hair? And I mean, the way that I handle it, I'd love to hear your feedback. The way that I handle it is if you're predisposed, like if you were already losing your hair before you added therapeutic doses of testosterone, you're probably going to continue to lose your hair, or it may accelerate it. But if you've never been really losing much of your hair pre-TRT, it's probably not going to do anything, right?
Yeah, generic predisposition highly contributes. So you have a condition called androgenetic alopecia, which is basically the same as benign prostate enlargement.
Mhm.
And then it's mostly hereditary. It's how your body responds to dihydrotestosterone.
DHT, yeah.
Yeah, and it also depends on how much dihydrotestosterone you're producing. So funnily enough, I produce a ton of dihydrotestosterone. My testosterone is in the middle of the range, and my dihydrotestosterone is 2.5 times out of the reference range. Yet I have no hair loss. It's not in my family. And I have no prostate enlargement, which is confirmed with ultrasounds multiple times.
Mm.
So it really depends on how much you're converting and how predispositioned you are to the response of that. Now, if you're right, if your response is severe,
Mhm.
then all the dihydrotestosterone derivatives are off the table: the primobolan, the anavar, the winstrol, the masterone, etc.
Mhm.
So right, all you have to do is look at your parents or grandparents. If they're
Mhm.
bald, you're going to get bald, and you have to put some preventative measures in place to prevent that from happening. And there's, well, a million different methods which I'm not familiar with because I didn't have to. I never had to deal with the hair loss. So that's
Yeah,
why
and
we
if
have Derek for More Plates, More Dates. He's highly specialized
yeah, I was
in
gonna say,
hair loss prevention.
yeah, if you want to learn how to keep your hair, watch this channel because he's got tons of videos on
Yeah,
strategies to try to hold. I'm of the Just Shave Your Head club.
yeah,
I've
me too.
I've used Primobolan on top of TRT. I've used like Anavar on top of TRT, and those are the ones that he's talking about that convert, that can be problematic if you're predisposed to hair loss. I wanted to ask you about the enlarged prostate thing because I've heard conflicting stories on it. I've heard DHT is a contributor to enlarged prostate issues, and I've seen other doctors and even guys on YouTube. I think Dr. Eric Berg is one of the more prominent ones with a large channel. Say things like, I think it was estrogen and insulin are the causes of enlarged prostate. What's your take on that?
It's one of those organs that's responds to a lot of different things, including stress. Like what I saw in the when I was still consulting, and you're surrounded with consultants around 50 years old, and they're in a high stress environment 24/7. They get all sorts of issues: hair loss, prostate enlargement, all kinds of
When you
issues.
say
So
stress, like stress measured as cortisol levels in the blood?
yeah,
Okay.
one of those, and of course, stress is also something self-induced. How you respond to particular situations. Now, Nubivolol helps with that because it keeps your sympathetic nervous system down a little bit and your heart rate down as well. So you're able to be a little bit more stress resistant that way. That's one of the also hidden reasons why I take Nubivolol, right? Because being self-employed is also a little bit of a stressful environment because there's so much influx of work.
Mm.
Now, for the guys that are in a high stress environment, that could have a compounding effect on prostate enlargement. Same as the dihydrotestosterone. Same as there's a condition called varicose cells, which is the impaired blood flow to the testicles, whether that's from testosterone therapy or just pure circulation or having the area too hot.
Mm.
That can also cascade into prostate enlargement. So there's a lot of new evidence coming out why prostate enlargement occurs. And right from the steroid world, the problem is the guys that are running very high dosages of steroids are never really honest about what's going on in their body because they don't want to say that they're having a complication later on in life.
Mm.
So we see some clinical evidence that dihydrotestosterone and steroids cause some prostate enlargement. But personally, I haven't seen that really to happen. But right, the clinical literature say that benign prostate enlargement occurs slowly over time due to dihydrotestosterone. So maybe you don't have it at the age of 30, but by the age of 50, you might have it.
Do males make more DHT in their body as they get older? Because I mean, one of the things that I've heard is that like it's a normal process for your prostate to enlarge as you get older as a male. So don't worry about it too much unless it turns into something problematic like cancer or your PSA markers, spike, and there's other things to look at. So is it your body making more DHT as you get older?
No, it's a cumulative effect over time, which makes it a little bit tricky because if you're a bodybuilder or you're doing TRT plus and you take a dihydrotestosterone derivative that then compounds on top of the dihydrotestosterone that you're producing naturally or converting from the testosterone. So now let's say you were drug free until the age of 25, you have a certain burden of DHT on your prostate, and then you go on primo. 5 times higher than your natural DHT levels. This is compounding into benign prostate enlargement, which might accelerate it over time.
Okay.
And I haven't seen it in my immediate surroundings, and I'm in touch with a lot of bodybuilders who take a lot of dihydrotestosterone derivatives.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a compounding effect. Same as with acne and gynecomastia, all these organ issues. It's usually multifactorial. And the best we can do is just monitor it with organ imaging and blood work and then make the appropriate actions. But I've seen more benign prostate enlargement with guys who are not using steroids, who are in high stress environments and don't really take care of their health, smoking, drinking, to take the edge off of work. And those guys usually get far worse organ issues than the guys that use steroids and take care of their health, low stress environment, and exercise frequently. So, right, all these things you just have to keep track of. And some guys get unlucky, right? Their response is far worse than general population, and their organs are not agreeing. Same as with me with the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, because I know people who did far worse, right, food-wise, steroid-wise, and didn't have any issues with their liver.
What's the what was the signal that caused concern with the fatty liver disease? Like, was it a distended abdomen? Like, was it blood work? How did you pick up on it?
I didn't catch it. As much as I know about organ health, I did not catch it because the symptoms of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease are not that apparent when you're a bodybuilder. So I did not have high triglycerides in the bloodstream. I had a little bit of issue getting leaner, but as a bodybuilder, like, okay, I'm getting a little bit older. Maybe my metabolism is coming down. Like if you have fat in the liver, it makes it difficult to lose body fat. That's one of the side effects, immediate side effects, right? Okay. I didn't have any jaundice or anything else that would indicate an impaired liver function.
No, like yellowing of the eye?
No,
like the whites,
I've never had my bilirubin levels out of range.
Interesting.
So I think it just, and your liver enzymes are a little bit elevated, but when you train very, very hard, your liver enzymes elevate also because these enzymes are also found in skeletal muscle.
You stress your body a little bit more too.
Right. So, and then I would take a week off from training and everything would kind of fall back into baseline. And then I would assume, okay, I'm good. And then I did some organ imaging as a routine checkup. And then I was diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. But I think that happened over maybe 3 or 4 years. And because as you want to get bigger, you eat more food.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's like one of the things that stresses your body and your organs is high caloric, consumption. That's why there's a lot of, medical experts that are talking more and more about fasting and, like giving your, given like the road works a little bit of a break. So you take food out of the equation, right?